We're here with assistant wrestling coach Jeff Burgess. Given Devin's visual limitations, what is the one thing about it that surprises you the most?
Well, in the sport of wrestling, you really need to be able to see what your opponent is doing, how he's moving, in order to defend and in order to react. So Devin has to feel everything as he goes through a match, and for a lot of kids that can be a really difficult thing to do, to feel what your opponent is doing. So that presents a really specific challenge for him that a lot of kids, when they get to use their eyes, he's got to use his hands or his body to feel how his opponent is moving.
What does it say for him as a person that this is not an easy sport anyway? You know, dealing with what he's had to deal with, and not only deal with it, but been very successful.
Yeah, wrestling is one of the most demanding sports mentally and physically and time-wise. I mean, we're putting in 30, 40-hour weeks with these guys during the season, and I know Devin in particular has put in a ton of work in the off-season to get ready for this. So it's just a matter of real, hard work and determination just to get better and become a top-level wrestler, and he's one of the best in the state because of that, because of his hard work. So
very cool. Devin, when you look at what you've been able to accomplish, what is the one thing you take the most pride in?
Probably the one thing I take the most pride in, I don't know, I guess just probably being one of the most winningest wrestlers on the North Attleboro wrestling team, because it's such a good program, a lot of history, so I like to think about that sometimes.
You were born with visual limitations, yet you decided wrestling, which is not always the sport you should want. Why wrestling for you?
Wrestling, because no matter what you start off with, you can always equalize it by working harder than your opponent. It doesn't matter what you're born with, as long as you keep on working at it. You could be as good as the next guy.
What is the thing you're most satisfied with as far as your career-wise or what have you?
I don't know, not giving up in a match, I guess. I feel like while in middle school, I learned to not give up. I leave everything on the mat, no matter if it's a tough match, just try not to be unsatisfied with my performance, make sure I gave it my all.
And what message would you give to anyone who's in the same situation as you as far as visual limitations?
I mean, it probably sucks at first, but it ends up not mattering, if you work harder, you can just make up for anything.
When you look at a kid like Devin, what he's had to overcome, and not only just to be a good wrestler, he's been a darn good wrestler. Why is he so good?
I look at Devin and I look at the characteristics that he has as a person, as a man. He's very unassuming, doesn't look for anything special, really wants to be treated just like everybody else. And we've tried to do that with him, and I think that inner character, inner strength is what's made him who he is today.
We had talked off camera about how, because of his visual limitations, he has to, wrestle to contact. That was something he didn't want right away.
Initially, when we learned more about Devin, he wasn't interested in a touch start. He does not want to be treated differently than anybody else. But at the same time, as a coach, rules are rules. They're in place for a reason. And so we took advantage of that particular piece, and it's fair to him, and you use what's there and make it work.